There was a time when I used to shop just for the sake of doing it. It didn't matter if I was bored, if I was mad, if I was frustrated, if I was happy. There really wasn't any rhyme or reason. And as you can probably imagine, that resulted in spending so much money unnecessarily. But thankfully, I saw the error of my ways and I made a few tweaks to become a more intentional spender. So here's a look at a few of my personal shopping rules that I live by in order to save money. So the first rule is that I only buy stuff that I am 100% confident in or sure about. And this is a rule that I do not bend on under any circumstances, because whenever I do, I always end up kicking myself and regretting it. So in other words, if I'm in the store and I'm browsing and I see something that I only kind of like or it's kind of what I'm looking for, I don't buy it, because 9 times out of 10, if I don't love it in the store, I'm not gonna love it at home. And along with that, when it comes to clothes, I no longer buy pieces for other people. I only buy them for myself. So to give you a little backstory on me, when it comes to clothes, I love my blacks, my grays, my silver, my white, and sometimes I'll throw in blue. And this is how I've always been. Thinking back to when I was in middle school and high school, those were the colors that I preferred to wear. So it's not like a trend that I've jumped on in recent years. So now that you know all of that, over the years, I've had several people try and encourage me to step outside the box and experiment with color. So they might suggest getting like a pink dress or a lime dress or even a yellow dress. And there were times when I was like, okay, whatever, I'll give it a try, I'll buy it. But a lot of times I would only wear those items for a few times and then they would end up in the back of the closet, because when it was all said and done, they weren't really what I wanted, and I only bought them because the other person wanted to see me in color and it wasn't really what I wanted. In addition, I no longer feel guilty about spending more for quality, and this is not something that happened overnight. It took me a while to get here, but now that I am here, I definitely see the wisdom in spending more if you're able to, because in the long run, you can save money. So for the longest time, I had this habit where I would only pay like $5 or $6 for a basic t-shirt, because in my mind, it was just a t-shirt. It was something I was gonna wear with a pair of shorts or jeans. I was not spending a lot of money. I would see t-shirts that cost $25 or $30, and I thought that was ridiculous, and I said that would never be me. But even though I said that I would never spend that much, I also used to complain heavily about the cheaper ones, because after about 6 to 8 months of regular use and washing, they started to look tacky. But now I'm basically eating my words, because I went out and I bought a couple of t-shirts just to kind of, test them out. They were about $28 each, and the difference, the quality, yeah, it's not, there's no comparison. Those shirts are probably about 1.5 years, 2 years old at this point, and they still look good. And I have no doubt in my mind that I will probably be able to get at least a couple of more years out of them. I also don't shop for fun. This is something that I used to do when I was younger, and now that I'm looking back, I do believe that at one point shopping was my hobby. If someone asked me what I was doing that weekend, I would say, oh, probably going shopping. Or if they asked what I did that weekend, oh, I was out shopping. And I don't even know why. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that at that point, I really didn't have any other outlets. Like, I didn't have any hobbies or any real interests. So whenever I did anything, it really involved spending money. And looking back, it was kind of crazy, because it wasn't like I had this endless supply of money. I was working part-time, I was using a credit card for many of those purchases, and I was saving very little. And I really don't remember what happened or what was the turning point that started to whip me into shape. The only thing that I can chalk it up to is when I started writing about finance, because once I got those first few assignments, I really realized for the first time that the way that I was managing my money was very backwards. And I think that was really the point where I was like, okay, I have to make some changes. What I'm doing is not working. And I do believe that it was around this time that I started getting serious about finding healthier ways to spend my time and my money, which helped me become more financially stable. I also take inventory before shopping to avoid buying duplicates. So I'm actually embarrassed to admit the number of times that I've accidentally bought something that I already owned because I forgot that I already owned it. And this applies to all categories. I mean, there isn't just one category. But just to give you an example, there have been times where I've bought a shirt because I swore up and down that I did not have that color shirt, but then I get home only to find the shirt in the back of the closet. And to give you another example, one time I bought a pair of black boots near the end of the season. I put them in the back of the closet, completely forgot about them, and then the very next fall I go and buy an almost identical pair of boots. And I didn't realize my goof immediately. It wasn't until I think I was like going through my closet and pulling out stuff and decluttering that I saw the box, open it, and at that point, I remembered purchasing them like months earlier. In addition, I never apply for a store credit card in order to get a percentage off of my purchase. And I know that this can be very tempting because in some stores, I think you can take off as much as 15%, 20%, or even 25%. And if you're buying a lot of items, I mean, that can be a pretty significant discount. But as tempting as this might be, I really discourage doing this, especially doing it on a regular basis, because what a lot of people don't realize is that every time you apply for a store credit card, or any credit card for that matter, that will trigger a hard inquiry on your credit report. And each inquiry can reduce your score by at least a few points. And I've read that that decrease can range anywhere from 2 to 5 points. So if you apply for 10 credit cards in a 30-day period, that can be anywhere between 20 and 50 points off your credit score just like that. Now, I can't tell anyone what to do, and obviously it's your decision, but my recommendation is to only apply for a store credit card if it makes sense in your life. So in other words, maybe you shop at this store frequently and you're someone who pays off their credit card balance in full every single month. In that case, it might work. But if you apply for that card just because you're getting a discount, in the end, you're going to end up losing, and you'll probably spend more money in the long run, especially if the card has a higher rate and you're carrying that balance from month to month. Another thing that I do, and this is a new rule that I just started, is that I no longer buy clearance items online. Now, I'm not saying this is something you have to do, but it's something that I've chosen to do for myself, because every time I buy, well, no, I'm not going to say every time because I don't want to exaggerate, but many times when I buy clearance items online, I end up wasting money, because in most cases, those are final sale items, meaning that you cannot return them. So if you get it and it doesn't work for you or it doesn't fit, oh well. Even when I use the size chart that the retailer has on their website and I take my measurements to make sure I'm getting everything right, or maybe I've bought from them before, so I think I'm familiar with how they size their clothes, so many times I still get it wrong, and I get clothes that are either too tight or too loose, or they just don't work. And because I can't return them, I end up giving them away and wasting money. So after years of going through this, and just last week getting a shirt that should technically fit me according to their size chart, yet I can't even get it over my shoulders, I'm done. I'm no longer doing it. If it's a final clearance item online, I'm leaving it alone. The only exception is if I'm in store. That way I can at least try it on before spending my money.